Do you like bread? Imagine how much you'll like roast tomato bread. Grab a few tomatoes. If you don't have a garden, tomatoes grow very well in pots, just in case you always wanted to grow something. I have a few tomatoes that are a day or two past their absolute best, which makes them perfect for this recipe. In this bowl I have, by eye, I'd say 2 pounds of tomatoes. Cut them in half and take out the stems. Then drizzle on a little olive oil, salt and pepper, and a teaspoon of sugar. And stick the tomatoes in the oven at 150 degrees for about half an hour or until the edges are brown. Once roasted, stick them in a blender, a kitchen machine, or attack with a submersion blender. For the dough, use a pound of flour, dry yeast, basil and chili flakes, and a heaped teaspoon of salt. I'm using whole grain spelt flour, but wheat will of course work just as well. Put the flour in a large bowl and make a little well using a spoon. Put the yeast in the well. Then add the still warm tomato sauce. Since it's a bit difficult to prophesize how much liquid the tomatoes will have, I'm starting with half the tomato sauce and I'll add more later if I need to. Let the bowl sit for a quarter of an hour to allow the yeast to activate. Then stir to combine. That clearly is not enough liquid, so I'm adding the rest of the tomato sauce. Now that's come together nicely. Cover the bowl with a clean tea towel and let the dough rest in a warm place for about an hour. Give it a stir to get out the bubbles, then dust in flour and knead. Add the basil, chili flakes and salt. Knead again until the dough pulls back slightly when stretched. I'm adding herbs and spices late in the game so they don't end up covering the tomato flavor. Get out a baking paper lined cookie sheet. Drop the dough and let it sit for another 20 minutes. Then bake for 55 minutes at 150 degrees Celsius. Pretty! Now let's test if the bread is baked properly. If you tap the bottom of the bread and it sounds hollow, you're good. We're good. But you might be asking, does the crust have crunch? Inside is looking pretty good, well risen and no doughy bits I can see. Inside's squishy and moist. Not trying to blow smoke up my so-and-so, but I'm pretty happy with this loaf. In case you were worried. Yes, delicious. Thanks so much for watching. If you decide to try out this recipe, let me know how it turned out. And if you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe?